Welcome back to the Crossout test server. Today, the test server is all about a lot of changes to tracks, and I do believe that it is something that a lot of you guys will actually highly appreciate. As you can tell immediately here as we go on, the tracks are definitely getting some love, with the hardened tracks here just being, I would honestly say, superior at turning and stuff like that. Compared to wheels, for example. But why this is, we will cover in just a second. So today the test server is looking at buffing 3 different types of tracks. First of all, the small tracks, the reinforced tracks, and the armored tracks. And to those of you that do not know, these are the small tracks, the reinforced, which are actually, aren't they called hardened? They are called hardened. There we go, hardened tracks, which I suppose are the ones that they mean, and then finally armored tracks, which are right there. So those are the 3 tracks that are getting some love, and then to the people that are a bit tired of getting wedged, there's also something for you, but more on that later. Besides that, we will also have some changes to wheels, and basically all of the different types of wheels here will get a bit of a change in their traction on the ground, so they will stick to the ground more. Basically, this goes for the special and the epic rarity. That is worth noting. I do not think that they have any plans for improving the grip of wheels of rare and normal quality just yet. There's a lot of stuff to cover, so I want to just start in one place and then we sort of proceed from there. But I want to start with the tracks because I feel like those are the most massive changes that are coming in this test server. All of this will be applied together with the 0.11.40 patch, the Doomsday Cars patch. And if you don't know what that is, then don't forget to check out my video on that. I'll leave a link to it up here. You can also find it down in the comments. Click that and just check out that video before you proceed any further if you don't know what the next patch coming is all about. The tracks here. First of all, the small tracks. There are a lot of good examples on how this actually functions on the exhibition. If we start with the small tracks here, the small tracks are the fastest tracks that we have in the game. And they are also indeed very, very fast. And they are going to do a few things with these tracks. They're going to give them 100 tonnage each per track, so from 835 to 935 per track now, and the power penalty also reduced from 15 to 12%, so your build will be a little bit better at accelerating and driving in general with this power penalty reduction. Besides that, the turning radius has also been reduced. The enhanced lateral grip, this means that, you know, when you're turning like this, you'll have a better grip than you did before. And I think it's when we're speeding like this, but as you can see, the result of this right now is that the tracks just simply never slide out in any way. This build just drives wherever it wants. And I mean, I think it's great that the tracks are getting some love, but this turning radius right here, I'm keen to say that, you know, I would rather play almost, I think, a melee build in high power score with these, because you can never get away from this. You lose absolutely 0 speed. You see this? Bam, 90. We just did a turn there, 180-degree turn with 90 kilometers an hour. We never lost any speed. We never lost any traction. We can just keep going. So I fear that this will probably be on the stupidly good side. But we'll have to see how all of it goes. But maybe the wedge changes will actually counter this. But we'll have to see once if this hits the live service, what this will actually do to, for example, Clan Wars builds, because that's where I can see this actually being a thing right now. We also have to consider the fact that these are like 90 kilometers an hour, so you will lose some speed if you go for these instead. All in all, it has the potential to be very strong. And next up to that, we also have the hardened tracks. And for the hardened tracks, or the reinforced tracks as they call it here, the tonnage bonus is also increased by 100, so you get 100 extra tonnage per track on your build. The maximum speed is increased to 75 from 70, so a little speed buff to them as well. The turning radius is reduced, enhanced lateral grip and all that stuff, just like the other one. And then also a little increase in power score so that you cannot use these for super low PS builds. But once again, it's kind of the same story as you can see right here. These builds just turn like no tomorrow. They are really good at turning. I would say, like, for something that could potentially compete with legs, this might actually not be completely unrealistic that they will be able to do so. It's mostly a question of being able to build around these in a way that they can sort of you know, replace legs with being durable and everything, because you get some extra speed here. You lose your strafing power, but I mean, you can go out here, take your shot, and then unless you flip, you'll be out of there in no time. And that's sort of where I see that this could potentially be functional. It's going to be hard with weapons like this, like you're going to have to get your shot in and then once again still don't flip, but this build kind of, you know, saves us every time I do something stupid like that. So I do see some kind of use for it. Even scarier is 3 annihilator drones on a build like this, because once you get that power buff from the coal, then you'll be going, you know, 75 in that direction now, 75 in that direction now. It's going to be very, very strong. So there are some concerns about this, but mostly I think it's just absolutely great that the tracks are actually getting some love, because they are trash. The only good track that we have right now is by far the Goliath track, and especially for the armor track, because the armor track is something that you can actually make some quite huge builds with. And especially this type of build. This type of build has been a big issue for a long time, for the simple fact that these builds are just super slow at turning. But it's a good way to create a good base for a build that has a lot of armor, has a lot of durability, and is able to actually fight at a high power score, in my opinion at least. And with this change, this build actually has a respectable turn radius now. It's not like the other ones, but these are huge tracks, and compared to the live server, this is just a world to difference, especially, you know, when you compare it to, this is pretty much what 2 tracks turn right now, I believe. So really, really solid turning radius there, and I actually have not had the chance to try these with just 2, so I really want to do that and see. Oh, there we go. Let's test try this and see what this thing, my god, that is a scary turning radius right there. You can pretty much just instantly flip yourself with these. That's actually quite hilarious and quite strong. It's gonna be, I'm super excited overall just to see what this will, where this patch will take track builds, because I do believe that track, I mean, look at this turning radius. What is that? That is insane. If you can master spins like that, you can literally turn around like this and fight someone who's behind you. So that has potential to make some sick plays if you know what you're doing. And I don't know, for lower power scores where people see the club a little bit sometimes, I don't know if this will like have a negative effect, but we'll have to see. For now, I'm pretty hopeful. I think this will be great, so we'll have to see. And also with the increased traction here, I'm really, really excited to see if tracked horizontal mandrakes will be a thing again. We'll have to find out once they are fully implemented, but for now, I'm honestly gonna say I really do believe that it looks like it. So we'll have to see where that goes. I'm really surprised about the armor tracks. I did not see that coming. I really haven't had time to play around with the test server much here before now. But I mean, look at this. What is this? Like, honestly, what is this? This is just crazy. That's, I don't know, is it too much? I want to know what you guys think about this. Like, is it deserved that they get this kind of love, or is it, you know, just a bit too much? Well, I'm really curious to hear what you guys think about all of this. And then besides that, we also have some changes to the Bigfoot wheels and also the special rarity, but I think it stands out the most here with the Bigfoot wheels. So I'm gonna bring out those first and just kind of show you what the deal is with these. So basically, we're gonna try, if you have played a lot of Bigfoot wheel builds during your time of playing Crossout, then you will know what this is supposed to look like as we drive here. As you can see, we have barely any drifting and sliding here at all. And it's very limited, so it actually almost looks and feels just like the tracks does. The only downside to these compared to the tracks is that you actually lose a bit of speed while you turn here, and you don't do that on tracks. But I mean, the way that these just turns and drives everywhere you want them to go, you know, you turn left here, there's no understeer, there's no oversteer, there's no nothing. The build just responds and reacts and goes in the direction that you want it to. I mean, this is, I think from a realistic perspective, builds felt better before, but then at the same time, we have fucking hovering towers of rail guns. We have crawling spiders all over, so this game is probably lost to realism, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing in any way. But at the same time, I don't think the aim is to see wheeled builds that just go wherever you want them to go as you demand it. I think that's, I'm not sure if this is right. I'm not sure if I'm really fond of this. And not in a way that I think it's going to be game breaking or anything like that. I think it's again, it's great that they're trying out these things, but it's great. It's a great standpoint for an initial test, but I do think that this requires some tweaking to get it where it probably should. That's kind of what we have for the wheels. And then the most interesting thing of this is probably the fact that there will be some changes to wedges. Sadly, we cannot check this out right now, but what they're writing about these is that we are currently working on a change that will add a part of the weight of the lifted machine to the weight of the wedge. The added weight will depend on how raised the car is and whether it has any footholds except for the wedge craft. If the total weight exceeds the tonnage, the wedge chassis will receive damage and may be destroyed. What this means is basically that if you play a wedge build, then this wedge build will potentially be able to take damage as you drive. We can illustrate this pretty well here. This wedge is actually super high, so I don't even know if we will be able to wedge much here. But basically what they mean is that if we lift up a build here, if we wedge this thing here, we will have a part of this build's weight as weight on our own build. This depends on how much of the build is actually touching the ground and how much is being carried by the wedge. So if we lift this up completely, then I assume that the build will have all of this mass on our own weight. So this build will, as you probably can figure, be overweight. I do not know if this will be a direct overweight penalty. I don't think it says any here, but it does say that the wedge's chassis will receive damage and may be destroyed. Now it's important to note here that as far as we have seen throughout patches and stuff like that, chassis is referred to as, I think, frames and wheels, but I would assume that it's just the wheels for this matter. So the wheels will actually be damaged and potentially be destroyed if you wedge someone, and this all depends on the weight of the wedged build. So if you're wedging a heavy build, then you'll take, I think it actually says, it says that, right? Let's see. Yeah, add a part of the weight of the lifted machine. So I think we can assume that if you lift a heavy build, then you'll take more damage, and if you lift a light build, then it'll be a little bit more easier on you, so you won't take as much damage. But the main thing is here that a wedge will, and this is something that so many of you guys have asked for, so I really hope you were pleased about this, because I think it's a really great change, and it adds the realism that a lot of people are asking for. So I think that's really, really cool. But you will actually take damage if you wedge builds. So your build will simply suffer from the weight that it is carrying around. I personally think it's really cool, but I'm also really interested in hearing what you guys think about this change. So do let me know in the comments. And that is actually it for this live server. I haven't live streamed this or not live server, test server. I haven't live streamed this test server because I do not believe that there are kind of enough. What the hell? Oh, okay. That there is quite enough of stuff on this test server for it to be live stream worthy, but instead we're bringing this video to you. So don't worry, you haven't missed any live streams. It just hasn't been there this time. Thanks so much for watching though. Let me know what you think about this entire patch, and let me know what you think about the new battle pass coming up. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.